Please don't scare me. Please don't scare me again. I can't take it.
I was worried this is going to really escalate to you turning up with like 12 Russian bodyguards and beating me up.
They're outside. But I'm going to make you something Italian.
Yes.
Don't know why I said it like that, like I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to make you something Italian.
Giorgio.
Just some simple bruschetta. Well, Food? Ready?
I really like this. You said not seasonal, but who cares? I actually, this is what I really fancied. You said not a normal dinner, but that's nice because I wouldn't have made it for myself for dinner, and therefore it has a quality to it.
I mean, yeah, it's not really a dinner, but if you think about what you need in the winter, you need zestiness.
Yep.
You need that kind of punch, that kind of thing to get you over the line, to get you to December. I sound like a politician. We will get you, this bruschetta will get you over the line.
Get it done.
Oven-ready bruschetta, not cooked in an oven.
No.
So to recap, what we have here is an Italian dish, bruschetta. We have some lovely, lightly toasted bread, topped with tomatoes, red onions.
Looks beautiful and colourful for you listening out there.
Basil, olive oil, black pepper, salt, garlic, just gently, politely mixed together in a nice bowl and set to marinate for a bit. Then drizzled and poured on top of the bread.
George, I close my eyes. We are in a little piazza in Florence with a little espresso, macchiato.
Well, do you know,
talking...
I first discovered this when I went to Sicily, actually. So I don't know if there's a regional...
Actually, I
think you'll find... I don't actually know if it's...
I'm sure it has a region.
Specific to a region in Italy.
I bet it is, yeah. Literally everything
Probably
is there.
something I should have looked up before I broadcast it.
Yeah.
So...
I'll get exhaustive, like, and these tomatoes are from Morocco.
Have you noticed when you go to restaurants now, it's always Isle of Wight tomatoes? Something about Isle of Wight tomatoes. The fact they have to specify it, I don't understand. Yeah, but it's that context that makes it interesting. I mean, we could just talk about film, James, but why talk about film when you can talk about film after having a nice bit of food?
Pulp Kitchen, everyone.
Hey, not to give away
Like
trade
subscribe.
secrets. Right, so do you want to take a bite?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a bite.
Let's do it. It's crunchy and it's a bit messy.
We had arguments about how to toast this.
Yeah.
Screaming. Oh, it just crumbled in my grip.
Christ. Wonderful sound you just made.
Really good.
What's your opinion about making mess when you eat? Because I'm a bit of a messy eater.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on myself, but more on...
You're a messy cooker too.
But I believe that's the art. That's the secret. You know, to really engage with your food, if it's so politely and neatly done, it looks like you haven't been there.
Yeah, obviously, like, it completely depends what we're eating, but I agree. If the food is messy, let's not... Because that can take away your enjoyment from it if you're holding yourself back physically and not just getting stuck in. It's like, you know, people are like, oh, you eat your spaghetti so messily, you don't curl it up. Sometimes people just shove it in. It's like, hey, man, just let the guy...
You're talking to me, yeah.
Eat it. Oh, is that what you do?
I was never taught or told how to do it with the spoon.
No one sat me down like, James, you're 7. It is time.
That's my get-out excuse for anything I don't know how to do. No one taught me.
No one taught me, yeah.
When I had my ward.
My taxes. No one taught me.
No one taught me, so I haven't paid them. Yeah, I'm a mess. I mean, I've got a plate that's too small. I've given you the big plate.
The question, have you been confronted about being messy? Has someone gone, you know what, actually, you're making me a bit gross.
When I've been eating with someone?
Yeah. Has someone or has someone ever made a face? Or has someone told someone else that they think that you were a messy eater?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't think that's ever happened to me, although you say that, but actually only last week, I did have, with a group of other hungover people, a hungover burrito. And I was sat in the middle of the group, and I did feel a little bit like I was being watched. And look, I was hungry. I was putting it away. And burritos are messy, but I felt like I was being looked at as like...
You know that going in.
Like, oh, George, he's really putting that away.
Some burgers are really messy, and that's just how the
When you get the drippy burgers.
Drippy burgers, soggy burgers, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard the theory that you know how the top bun of a burger is rounded, and the bottom one tends to be flatter? Yeah. You're actually meant to eat it upside down.
I do that,
rounded,
I normally do that, yeah. Oh, so the rounded top, like,
I've heard it's
juice.
so designed that it cuts the juice and prevents a drippy burger.
Who knew that there was this much level of design in a burger? Who knew that burgers would be like the food explosion in recent years? It's like saying, oh, tell you what, there's so many different things you can do with a sandwich. The sandwich is the way to go.
Well, most sandwiches were I think this could be absolute rubbish. But from what I heard about the invention of the original hot dog was that it was a guy who sold sausages on the street, but they were so hot to eat that he would just give people a little loaf of bread to hold the sausage in, and you would eat the loaf of bread with the sausage. And that's how like meats surrounded by bread came about. It's just a vessel with which to hold hot meat.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the same. But look, sandwich comes from the Earl sandwich.
Wow.
You don't know this?
Wow, I know sandwich
No one ever
is a
told
place.
me this, George.
I know it's a place, but I would never have gone. Well, that's where the sandwich
the
comes
reason why-
from. It's one of those like, oh, did you know the kettle was invented by Ian Kettle?
Yeah, sure. No. The Earl sandwich had. This is a historic.
Go
account.
for it,
The Earl sandwich invented the
guys.
sandwich.
This is a food podcast as well.
He didn't. And now we're doing history. He didn't want to get his cards dirty when he was playing cards. I think between battles, that might have embellished that bit.
Wow.
But they used to play cards, and he didn't want to keep getting grease when he used to hold stuff. And he said, "Can you just bring it to me between two slices?"
George just dropped, I think, a tomato or some bread.
Let me do that again.
Yep. No, just roll with it.
Can I just? Okay. He would say, just bring this to me in two slices of bread so I don't get any grease on anything. And there you go, the sandwich is born. Now, obviously, if you look at the whole world, there's loads of variations on the sandwich. We don't know if that's where it comes from. Like the hot dog, I'm sure was probably a variation on that. I mean, I believe you in that. That sounds right. But the sandwich...
And in this history, how many rings had the Lord Sauron made?
One sandwich to rule them all. The root
In the
word.
land of Mordor, or the
tuna
Isle of
nut.
Sandwich, for those who pay attention.
There is absolutely no way to eat this politely or cleanly for our listeners.
I think we go on a hiatus for us, but for the listeners, it'll feel like no time has elapsed.
Yeah, for you guys, enjoy the next sequence,
Yeah.
which will be us talking in probably a few minutes' time. James, how long have you been playing for the Bronsbury Sports Club?
I used to play a lot of tennis when I was younger, and it's local to where I don't wonder if I'm like dossing myself from where I grew up now.
Well,
Oh yeah, Bronsbury Park.
I mean, yeah, that's
you know when you spend a summer, I think was it before uni or after first year of uni, working for genuinely less than minimum wage, like so far below. It was one of those, well, you're not quite 21, so for the hourly rate and on the kids, it was like £4 something an hour, like really low. Teaching kids to play tennis when I got this jumper.
well done.
This was the most valuable thing I earned.
It looks like you've worn it every single sick day since.
Yeah, it's a real like
Without
cozy
washing
up and what like go on Disney Plus and find a Marvel film. Yeah, that's exactly my vibe. Yeah, so it's a neon royal blue, I'd say.
Okay.
Bronsbury hoodie.
So I want to talk about Spencer, which came out a couple of days ago, and is the big side of the bus kind of adverts for this new Diana biopic. Just context for everyone. So Kristen Stewart plays Princess Diana,
The People's Princess.
the People's Princess, and it's directed by Pablo Larraín, who's a Chilean director, I believe. He's got quite an interesting filmography, but it's set. The whole thing of this is that, and the reason why it's called Spencer, not called Diana, or not called Princess of Wales, is that it's a different take on Diana's life. So if people are expecting sort of a Crown approach or the much forgotten Naomi Watts biopic approach,
Not seen it, but I've heard.
exactly. This is different. It's all set in over 3 days, one Christmas. It doesn't say what year, but it's.
I noticed that.
It's clearly the early 90s when Diana is separated from Charles, estranged from Charles, but not divorced, still part of the royal family.
Kids are like 10 and 8, something like that.
Yeah, kind of.
About that age.
Yeah, about that age. And it is set in Sandringham over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. Kristen Stewart was like a bit of a bold choice, I think, at the time when everyone heard about this. Because I think people's perception of the way that the royals have been captured has been so preoccupied with the crown in recent years.
And not a Brit.
Yeah, and not a Brit, which is big. Yeah,
we tend
big
to
thing.
cast our own, and the Americans tend to cast us.
Yeah, and so
Generally.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it. I don't think I've missed out anything else for context for anyone. Do you?
Yeah, no, I think that sounds about right. Pete, who else is starring in it? Because there's a lot of supporting characters.
So Kristen Stewart obviously plays Her Royal Highness.
Yeah.
And then you've got Sally Hawkins, you've got Sean Harris,
Yeah.
Timothy Spall.
Yeah.
And
That's all I could name, probably.
that's probably it, because it's quite sparse. I mean, it is really a powerhouse one-woman film. But what did you think, James?
I was quite disappointed in it. I really was quite excited to see it. The plans to go see it were sprung up on me, and I was like, oh yeah, really looking forward to see that. I'd love to go and see it. And I think like going into a film called Spencer about Diana Spencer, even however many years we are, not just from her death, but from the time that she was like incredibly famous, not that I was alive to remember it. I think everyone goes in with an incredible amount of expectations of the story, which I think we all weirdly have an attachment to for what happened to that person. And I don't want to start with the negatives. I think there's a lot of things I really liked about it. Like its presentation of Sandringham as this very like frosty and cold place where everyone is whispering, but yet everyone hears what everyone's talking about. And I kind of had this sensation watching it where it was like scene on, scene off. There was scenes that I'd watch and I'd go, oh, that was really good. I really liked that. And then some other scenes where I was like, that did not work. And I actually think that some of the writing really took me out of it. Performances, I think in general around, really liked it. But overall, I came out of that being like, oh, that didn't sit well with me. There were some analogies that were made which I thought were bad. My friend who was sitting next to me, she said halfway through, she leaned over and whispered to me that some particular scenes which we really just thought didn't work. And she said, this reminds me of the shit you used to take to the Edinburgh Fringe and make me go and see. And I couldn't really disagree with her because I think there were some moments where I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. And I found the particular style of it being like, you know how you said it's set over the course of 3 days. It's not a sweeping, she's born, she lives through her life, she dies kind of film. And it's very much like a portrait of a woman in this situation. And it does, I think in some ways, an effective job of presenting the dilemma that she's in with that family. I think it does it quite accurately. But I thought, for what it was trying to do in that film, I thought it actually tried to do too much, was way too self-indulgent with the themes. There were a couple of things I thought that is so on the nose. I really just was like, really? Is that like what we're gonna do at the end? And I was quite disappointed. There are so many things I love. I thought some of the performances with the supporting characters, I loved. Like, Maggie, what's her name again?
Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins, sorry, I think it's brilliant. Timothy Spall, I'd really like those scenes, and then it would go off and do something else, and I would hate that scene. I'd be like, oh. Felt like two directors worked on it. Well, I'm curious to see what you think, because you've said, I'm very excited to talk about it when you've sort of hinted, because we don't talk about films when we're outside the show. We bargain. So I couldn't tell if you either really liked it and wanted to go into the very interesting elements of it.
What do you think I think?
Well, you reacted weirdly when I said I felt mixed and disappointed, so I'm starting to think maybe you agree with me, but I think maybe you like it.
I really liked it, James.
Yeah.
I almost said I loved it.
Because sorry, before you go into it, I went in to go read some reviews, most of which were really positive, just to check like what's wrong with me, did I get it wrong? But I didn't read those reviews and be like, oh, that's what I missed. I'm sorry, I just didn't like it, but yeah, let me know.
No, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I really loved it. It was, in a way, it's my kind of film. I will begin by saying there are, I agree, moments that are very on the nose. The Anne Boleyn kind of running straight.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. And there are moments that I think it's probably a little bit too long. And, you know, like I talked a couple of times before about the Denis Villeneuve, like oppressive tonality. There was a couple of times where I was like, I get it. I've got the message. We have maybe too many scenes of this one.
Yeah.
But no, I really like it, and for the reasons as follows. So, first of all, I knew what this film would be. You know, I know there are a lot of people who won't be. For example, when the film ended, a man left the theatre and I heard him say, well, I thought it was going to be much more like The Crown, you see. And I was quite disappointed. I'm like, this is not, I knew this wouldn't be a conventional biopic. Oh, maybe you did as well.
Yeah.
But so I approached it because I like Pablo Larraín. I was a big fan of one of his previous films he made called Jackie, which is about Jackie Kennedy.
Right.
Which is about,
I haven't seen it, but I can tell it's very similar.
They're very similar territory. Jackie was about Jackie Kennedy's experience, again, in a tight time frame. The week...
48 hours. Oh, no,
it was the week of her husband's assassination, from the moment he was killed to his funeral, and her role and her changing role within that as American history is revolving around her. Again, shot in a shimmering, beautiful cinematography with very strange music. And the whole thing about Jackie was like, it captured this fairy tale idea.
Yeah.
This idea that this haunted fairy tale, and there was these ghostly elements. You know, there were scenes of Jackie Kennedy wandering around alone in the White House, wonderfully played by Natalie Portman. I know I'm meant to be talking about Spencer, but this is all context.
Yeah, of course.
And I enjoy, and I had a similar thing with Jackie, which is when I saw it, I thought, okay, that was good, but after I came out of it, it really stayed with me, and I think that's similar with Spencer. So going into Spencer, I thought, oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that approach applied to this story. And the moment it begins, it says a fable about a true tragedy.
Based on a true tragedy.
Yeah, a fable based on a true tragedy. And I thought I love that because that is immediately telling you.
Sets the tone.
Yeah, it's telling you it's like, this is a fable. This is a fictionalization.
It's art on taking a concept of a character and going, let's make some art.
And so that's that guy you left and said he thought it was, thought it'd be like The Crown. Well, did you not read the bit at the beginning?
But I saw that opening thing and went, oh, cool. Like, I'm expecting something really clever and different.
But I thought it was because I just thought it was successful in the way that it sort of took the story and biography of Diana as we know
and
it.
The relationships you know.
And then fictionalizes them within the context of a fairy tale to really highlight the dramatic elements of her life without having to go through the plot points of her life. It's like, I mean, really, this film sets her up to be the lonely princess in the tower.
Yeah.
I mean, where to begin? So with like the haunting element, that's what I think I came away with. That's what I was impressed by, is that in typical biography genre, we've got a much more, a film that is much more about a person's state of mind, a person's state of emotion, a person's, psychodrama.
Sure.
And, I like the script. So Stephen Knight wrote the script. I think Stephen Knight, is he Peaky Blinders?
I think so, yeah.
I thought there were loads of great... double entendres and double meanings in both the script and the imagery. There's lots of things about death and consumption and the past and this.
Where it uses food, especially.
Yeah, the way it's used in food and the way that they talk about the part. There's that great line where Diana says, "Oh, there is no future in this house. It's just the past and present are the same thing." I really like that, and there's a really chilling bit where she's with, her boys and. William says, "Oh, Mummy, what's happened to make you so sad? Is it something in your past?" And then Harry says, "No, I think it's something in your future." I don't know. I thought this really added to that, this kind of ghostly element. And for a lot of the film, Diana is wandering around Sandringham. She's not part of the royal family. She's not with her family. She's not staff as well. She's part of this sort of liminal space. And when her car arrives at Sandringham at the beginning, when she's late, she's late. Where is she? You've got this fantastic... Oh, gosh, I don't know the way. Yeah, I'm lost. We'll get to that. This drone shot that follows her into this immaculately built Sandringham estate. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, was like the beginning of The Shining. It's like them approaching the Overlook Hotel.
Shining-y, yeah.
And the music that accompanies it is so discordant and strange and full of, like, jazz pianos.
Love the score.
And Johnny Greenwood, who's formerly of Radiohead, did the score. And actually, Johnny Greenwood is... becoming like a magnificent composer. He started in Radiohead and then he broke away and did the There Will Be Blood soundtrack, which was a masterpiece. And then ever since then he's done these really profound. Every time Johnny Greenwood does a score, it delivers. And I was listening to this thinking this is wonderful. Again, the cinematography is like shimmering and beautiful, but also very suffocating.
Cold, sterile.
Stately, very stately. So it shimmers, but it is like preserved.
There's both literally and metaphorically an air of death and sterile. Like one of the opening shots and like one of the, again, what I think is very on the nose analogy was like, hunted game scattered around the grounds and pheasants that were dead.
I didn't find that. It's pointed, and for you it was on the nose, but for me that was the fact that it was that dramatically hinted at was part of the sort of melodrama of the whole thing.
I get you, but when you're taking okay, so this is the story, but we're not going to tell the whole story. We're going to tell it over 3 days, knowing that everyone knows what happens to Diana, and we're going to use lines like where she looks over her shoulder right at the camera and goes, "Do you think they'll kill me?"
Yeah,
to me, I kind of cringed. I'm like, oh, like, and then the pheasant thing, I got, and I don't want to spoil it, but the analogy of things being hunted and pheasants being reared to be slaughtered is very much what, not to reduce it, but there is a culmination point at the end which has something to do with pheasants being hunted. Yeah. And I was a bit like, I get it, and I wanted maybe something a bit smarter, really. And it's a shame because I don't hate it, but it's like there are so many other elements I really enjoyed which could have been further explored, but that element I didn't find interesting to come to the end.
But did you not feel like the experience of it? I felt like he was saying, forget the facts, let's capture the experience of being in her place when she's having the dinner and she's got the pearls and it's the soup, and you've got Charles opposite. And what I like is that Charles has got that face which shows that like he's under a mask as well.
Yeah.
He's also brittle and hiding something, and there is this deathly silence.
That scene didn't work for me. It really didn't. So I understand.
We should just explain
There are pearls that Charles bought for Diana, which he famously also bought Camilla the same pearls. So Diana feels this obviously huge sense of pressure to wear these pearls because it's a gift, and it would be like what she wears is also like really strict and really laid out. It's like Christmas morning breakfast, afternoon tea, church, all this. And so she feels huge sense of weight to wear it. And like but the easiest comparison I can make is like the One Ring. It's the kind of like weight it has on her. And there's this whole sequence where she's has to eat the soup and the pearl. It goes into sort of semi-dreamlike state where the pearls are part of the food and vice versa. And it's a very sort of, over the top style sequence, but the way in which, even though I love the score, the way in which that was, it might be the editing, to be honest, like cut together and revealed to me. I again, it was one of those scenes I was like, that didn't work, and it felt like student theatre to me. And the way in which the music swelled up, and it's this wonderful score that's like chaotic and frenzied, and then it cuts to the people playing the cello and the violin in the corner, and I was like, why are they going all mad in the corner?
That music's already in there, and then they were just showing that it's diegetic music, not non-diegetic.
And I get it, but for some reason it just didn't. Half of that film didn't work, and all the things you've talked about, like the presentation of the royals and how really harsh presentation of the royals. Not that I have a particular leaning. No, it's not. But like the way that the Queen was like very few lines, but lots of knowing.
But looks. I don't think it was a harsh presentation of the royals. I think actually it showed them to be just as trapped as she was, but Diana was the only one to be able to speak out. Yeah, also, and I feel when we talk about Diana and the royals, that I feel perfectly comfortable that these are just fictional characters. It's not like people have that issue with The Crown. They're like, well, we talk about Diana. Is it the real Diana? I'm like,
it's quite easy in The Crown to separate. Okay, this is a conversation we're trying to pretend they had.
Yeah, but this is very much
even more
Spencer,
so.
Just like this is completely fiction. Like,
I'm not going into it. But hang on, he wouldn't have said that. That's not my issue. It's like the presentation of its ideas, and there were just other things I would rather have focused on. Like when Sally Hawkins was talking about like all like their scenes and what happens with those two characters, and she's like, it's not all these things you think you need. You really need love, and this is your problem. And she's focusing on so many other things, and the Sean Harris and all those amazing scenes in the kitchen and what it would be like to prepare food, and the connection she has to people who are much more human than any of the royals are. I love that, but it just kept being sandwiched by these very weird scenes I didn't like.
I don't know.
Like, tell them I'm not well. Sweeping gimbal shot through little. Tell them I'm not well. But close up, wide angle. Terrence Malick.
That's all part of it.
I rolled my eyes. Yeah, I did.
No, it was all part of it because
I don't think it earned that level of swoopiness.
It has. It's swoopy from the beginning.
It is swoopy. It's swoopy.
The theatricality is part of it. I thought about that. Put it this way: the first scene when we see Kristen Stewart, I thought, oh no, this is like a really stilted impression of Diana. But then I realised that's the whole point. She is uptight. She is tense. She
Petulant,
is brittle.
A little bit moany.
Yeah,
sure.
but within reason.
I don't mean that as a criticism. I think like we know Diana had a way of talking.
But then when there
like
is the swirling kind of, okay, it might get a little Birdman-esque with the drums.
I was thinking it reminded me a lot of Birdman.
Which is a shame because a film I really don't like.
So I like Birdman. What don't you like about Birdman? You find it annoying? Do you feel like it doesn't?
Well, I think my issue with Birdman is that it is a film that enjoys poking fun at how pretentious and self-serious the entertainment industry is in a film that is itself pretentious and self-serious. The lack of irony between the way it presents itself and its message, I find just maddening.
That's true, but how do you make a film that's going to confront that?
Different way, satire, different fucking way. Loads of other ways.
It's a very pretentious film.
There's loads of Hollywood satires out there. The Player, for one.
Yeah.
Maybe Nashville. But,
I mean, I enjoyed the ride of Birdman. I was like, whoa, that was an experience that came out of it. But, yeah.
Permission to talk in expletives.
Yeah.
Birdman had a shitload more wank in it than Spencer does.
I'll give you that. 100%.
Spencer, I was like, I know what you're doing. I can see what you're going for. Okay. Some members of the audience who sit across from me right now might have found it a little bit tedious and melodramatic. But I, for one, enjoyed it. But Birdman, the jellyfish.
A great double bill.
Oh. I'm well, it's maybe it's just down to taste because I did think in the first 15 minutes I was like, oh, this is my kind of film. I love the presentation, I love the vision, and I do like.
I also went in like wanting to like it. I really think I did, which is wrong, but I was like, oh, I think this is for me, and it turned out it wasn't.
Can we agree on anything? Can we agree that her performance is great?
I think her performance is great. I
didn't think Kristen Stewart. I wasn't watching it thinking that's Kristen Stewart. There.
Yeah, I think there's a lot we agreed on. Like its overall presentation, the way in which it sets up its story, I thought was fantastic. And again, like so many elements I really loved, and all those side characters I thought was so brilliantly done and felt really grounded and actually out of sync with what I thought like the rest of the film's execution was. It's just like half of the ideas I didn't like. We mentioned Anne Boleyn earlier, but there is like. Almost, haunted ghost-esque element where she's very much comparing herself to Anne Boleyn, and the guy, one of the main sort of Tommy Lascelles type of maitre d's, is sort of putting these images of Anne Boleyn, who is. Do you know this history better than me? I bet you do.
Yeah,
Go on then.
Who was beheaded by Henry VIII.
He
was the second
fell in love with a different woman, Jane Seymour. Yeah, exactly. So there's obviously like obvious comparisons.
Yeah, they got a sword.
And you bet you're going to see Anne Boleyn walking through the halls, and
sometimes Kristen Stewart
dressed as Anne Boleyn, which is a big reach. And it's not that I don't think this film could have done that. I just it didn't get me there.
You know what it is?
It didn't get me there well enough.
I think if you stick with Spencer. That's more.
You can't jump into the pool, not dip your toe.
I think it's like if you jump into it and and that's the and you are enjoying it and you're prepared to go with it, and I think it will carry you through.
There are a lot of films like that where if you weren't able to take the plunge, it wouldn't happen for you.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you weren't able to take the plunge. Maybe. I think you were. I think we've had situations where this has been reversed, and I've definitely had moments where I'm like, I just wish I could like it more and engage in it more, but maybe it's because I knew I was going to get more. I mean, I know you said you expected that, but because I was like, I know what Jackie was like. I can see where Spencer was going to be, and I got what I wanted. And
I did go to read reviews afterwards because I was really curious. And the things the reviews that gave it 5 stars mentioned the things that I liked, but it didn't really. It didn't find the things I felt annoying and cringeworthy. They weren't mentioned. I was like, oh, that worked for you.
What I will say to your friend is this: I was in some of those. I was in some of those.
She listens to the show.
I was in some of those plays that we took to Edinburgh, James, and I can tell you right now, they were far shitter than Spencer. They were so much worse.
I know. I feel like all of a sudden, I know we've just had the year of years with COVID, but every film is coming out. Every film's that's not come out, and I feel like it's. I know it's always intense towards the end of the year and like January, Feb, but I feel like it's especially everything's coming out.
It's like there's a deadline, and they're like, "Shit, we've got to get these out."
Financial quarters, I bet. Yeah.
If we want our Christmas bonuses, we've got to get them out now.
Yeah. So I was over the weekend. I went to go see Marvel's Eternals, not the Eternals, just Eternals.
Oh. Okay.
Went solo on a Sunday night. Tried to pitch it to the girlfriend, but fair enough. She was like, "No, I don't want to see it."
It's long.
George, it's a slog. This film's long. So we had talked a couple of weeks ago about where we were at with the MCU, and a broad summary of what we roughly said was that I think we said we had quite a good level of trust with our time and our money on the commitment of a Marvel film. And I'd say we were quite happy for them to introduce characters to us that we'd never heard before and have faith that they could deliver. And I went in with Eternals knowing nothing about what it was. Basic premise is this is taking place in the MCU, right? So it in some way connects to all the stuff to do with the Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, etc. This movie opens essentially at the beginning of humanity at like early primitive Mesopotamia era. You have these beings which are almost like divinely created as adults, immortal and eternal. They arrive on this monolithic spaceship to Earth. They are given a quest by these giant titanic beings called Celestials, and I'm talking big, like the size of moons. Like
I think
really,
it's one of the
really
trailer,
huge.
isn't it?
A huge red demonic-looking thing called Celestials, and Selma Hayek plays one of like the sort of like spiritual leader of the Eternals, and she is given tasks by the Celestials. And the main opening is. It's very wordy, and there's lots of words you've never heard before, and it's a bit of like, okay,
like the architect scene in The Matrix.
A little bit, not quite as bad as that, but on the way. And it's you need to go to Earth and protect it for when we need it. You need to protect humanity from these evil beings from the dawn of the universe called deviants. And these deviants are these very generic looking, sort of rhinoceros, tiger-esque, wispy beasts that they had to kill. Incredibly generic. You know when CGI monsters are just like floating wiggly lines, kind of like that. So in the first sort of few, I say like 20 minutes of the film, you see the Eternals at different points in human history, and it does a lot of jumping around. You start like Mesopotamia, then you go to like 1510 AD, then you go to 1945, like the Hiroshima bomb, and they're given very clear instructions, which is protect humans, but do not interfere with anything that they do. You can teach them certain things and you can interact with them, but you must not interfere, you must only protect. So it explains why there's a lot of scenes where it's like, why didn't you intervene when Thanos erased humankind? And their argument kind of is, which kind of worked actually, which was, well, we're not going to intervene because part of warfare and learning and death is going to get humans to where they need to be. It's part of their progression. Right. They need to die. And then, you know, this isn't spoilers, but throughout the first part of the movie, the Eternals really struggle with seeing civilizations rise and fall, and they see these people tear each other apart. Right. And one of them has the power to like occupy minds and tell people to stop doing. The other one is basically like Superman. The other one is sort of can manipulate the elements and change water into wine and wood into frost. All of these kinds of things. So they have the power really to intervene and protect people. And there's one who is able to teach technology, and he's like an engineer. And the byproduct of his teaching humans certain things led to the invention of the atomic bomb. Right. So obviously, okay, well, we have intervened in some way, and this has led to one of the most like atrocious inventions ever. And they end up fighting, and because of that, they all go their separate ways. And you kind of cut to modern day, seeing them in all their different parts, doing different things. Right. So Kumail Nanjiani is like an eternal Bollywood star who keeps like saying, well, the guy from 100 years ago is my great-grandfather, and that was my grandfather, and that's thing, and that's me. And so you realize what he's done. Some of them live very normal lives as teachers. There's one who is like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old girl, and she's immortalized as a girl. So it's really hard for her to be eternal because she has to move around in this very nomadic life every 5 years because people realize that she's not aging, and that's really difficult for her. The rest of the plot happens, and that's for you to discover when you go and see it. And I the whole time the film was happening, I was really bored. And I was like, wow, I can't believe a Marvel film is boring me. I really thought this couldn't happen. And I got to the end, and I was like, wow, what didn't work about this? And I think it was a huge lack of charisma and fun and nothing to anchor yourself onto. And I was thinking back on some of the Marvel films that I thought really worked. And I thought about the films that I didn't know anything about going into. And I thought about the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is obviously a completely different film, a completely different tone. But do you remember the opening where Peter Quill puts the headphones on the cassette and he's dancing through? And I go, even though I know nothing about this character, I immediately am quite curious to see who he is, what he's doing, and what he's up to. This film doesn't have a really good central dynamic or performance to really anchor you in, and it suffers from it the whole time. It's very somber, it's very heavy. It stars Richard Marridan, Barry Keoghan, Kit Harington, Angelina Jolie, who's great in this, but also I found quite distracting. I was like, you're really good and you haven't done much acting, but I wish you'd do more, but you're kind of like forgotten about in this. There are a couple of really cool ideas not explored, but I was shocked by how much of a bore and a slog it was. It felt like going back to the bad films of Phase 1, and I felt betrayed in my trust. I really thought, because I was saying, like, I thought I could go in, and I thought they had at least a little formula to say, like, this will be solid and you'll enjoy it. It was so boring.
That's the thing, though. If they want to take risks and expand, they're going to take the risk of it being boring. But I have to say, it does kind of come across. I kept thinking to myself, why am I more excited by this? And I think it's because, well, I always let people like you go to the cinema first and tell me what it's like. But it does look very flat, it does look very great, it does look incredibly generic, like with the monsters and everything.
The design of the costumes didn't work for me. They look like Power Rangers, you know, the live-action Power Rangers.
No.
And it's a lot of posing and staring at the sun.
And the jokes look really forced.
Standing in a formation. Jokes were okay. Could have done with 3 times Kumail Nanjiani and the other guy who was great, who I can't remember.
Yeah, okay. I mean, look. The thing is, I like Chloe Zhao. I've only seen that
Directed by Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, to be fair, I like Nomadland. I love Nomadland actually, but I haven't seen any other. Didn't see The Ride or anything. But even then, it doesn't matter what you like. As soon as you know that this person's directing a Marvel film, it's not really going to have their imprint in, is it? And the auteurship is gone. It's more just like we want to just see how you steer the ship, not how you build the ship.
Sorry.
Well, no, I think it's a shame to hear that, and I will go see it just to concur with that. But I think it looks like an incredible amount of heavy, boring, weighty lore. You know, LORE lore. I mean,
I was like, where is the fun? And it's exposition to exposition to exposition. And for the first 20 minutes, I was like, who am I following? Who is the heart or the sort? I'm not saying someone needs to be really funny like a Peter Quill. I'm just saying like who do I go to? And then coming towards the end in what was the third act, I was like surprised to arrive there. And then I was like, oh, is that what we're coming to? Is that it? Very generic action later, something I couldn't really follow or understand where people were and what happened. Characters disappeared, and I was like, well, you would have been useful there. And then it got to the end, and I was like, really boring.
Did it feel like, because a lot of these films I've heard from other sources and stuff that sounds mysterious. Other podcasts, other materials, they say that these fight scenes and set pieces are actually made before the film often, like years before. Not years before, maybe like 2 years before. So when they start production, they've already choreographed and set out they storyboarded the action set piece. And does that was the problem I had with Black Widow. But like, do you feel that?
But I wish it had felt like it had that, because the action did nothing for me. You could tell someone had gone in and go, okay, so we've had a lot of dialogue, let's get an action scene in, and it would happen. And you had 3 of them, but again, incredibly generic CG baddies.
Do I need to have seen Shang-Chi to enjoy Eternals?
No, you don't need to have seen anything else to enjoy this. And I think you could probably, who knows, maybe they're laying something that I don't know, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an enjoyable 2-hour film. You could miss this, I'm pretty sure, and watch a 4-minute YouTube video.
Do you think I could wait the 5 months it's going to take for it to get to Disney Plus?
Do not pay money to see it. I
What
really would.
about Shang-Chi?
I thought I could go, oh, maybe I didn't need to see that in cinema, but maybe if I had like a takeaway and a glass of wine on Disney Plus, I'd enjoy that. I wouldn't even waste your time. Actually, it was so boring.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm so much more negative about it than I actually ever thought I could.
But you've seen Shang-Chi as well. I'm curious because I haven't seen that.
And Shang-Chi,
should I spend my attention on that?
Shang-Chi you should definitely go and see. Like, action in Shang-Chi is so much fun. There's a great dynamic between Shang-Chi and the French. So just to quickly intro Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's also a Marvel film set in the cinematic universe.
Came out
It very much... came out a couple of months ago. The Marvel films are like once a month. We've got Spider-Man next. They're just
it's all COVID stuff. It's all because COVID.
Just a machine. And it really sort of wears its history of Chinese martial arts cinema on its sleeve, and it really does a great homage to all of that. If you grew up in the early 2000s and you watched all those amazing movies, you'll really enjoy that. It's definitely a Marvel take on those. Shang-Chi grew up in China with his dad, who was possession of these magical 10 rings, combat, ancient mythology. Cut to him in like modern day San Francisco. He's sort of a nomad, working as a valet with his non-romantically linked female friend. And they have a really great grounded contemporary contrasted relationship compared with the mythology. And that core immediately gets you, unlike Eternals. And I'm like, I follow these two. They are learning and experiencing this world like me. And that is what hooks me in. But as far as Shang-Chi goes, I don't have many things to say about it. But like, the action
it's serviceable.
It
delivers the goods.
And the action scenes are incredible. I'm like, that was really well done. That it deserves, maybe not quite to the caliber of like a John Wick action, but I'm like, that works so well and that looked really cool and I had fun.
One thing about Eternals, Kit Harington's in that.
Yeah.
In a good way or not?
Kit Harington's fine. Richard Madden's fine. There's a really annoying moment where obviously Kit Harington and Richard Madden were in Game of Thrones together, and they have a moment where they meet and they have this prolonged hello, and they shake hands, introduce their characters' names. He's like, "Hi, I'm Icarus. Hi, I'm Thing." And he's like, "Hello, nice to meet you." And they have this knowing look, and it doesn't come up anywhere else. So I'm thinking that was just a knowing look for people who know they're in Game of Thrones together, which is fine, but I don't care.
No. Do it in a funnier way.
Do it in a funnier way. Are we just going to do that with every character that's ever been in a TV show or a film together? They didn't.
These films are going to be 10 hours long.
Yeah, they're really long, prolonged. Like, nice to meet you. Yeah, we were in a thing that was also very big. And it didn't work.
It's like have you ever seen, this is such a throwback. I've never even seen these films, I've just seen the clips. Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 with Charlie
No,
Sheen.
no.
With Michael. No, Charlie Sheen playing. It's like a Vietnam Rambo spoof, and there's a bit where they're on the river. He's on a riverboat and he's narrating out loud, which he's doing a spoof of Apocalypse Now, which is
Right,
obviously
okay.
spoofing Martin Sheen.
Yes, of course.
Who is in that? And then he stops recording it, and he still hears the voiceover, and he looks up, and there's another riverboat coming towards him, and it's Martin Sheen recording his thoughts, and they look up, and they both stand up on the hull of the boat, and as their boats pass each other, they at the same time go, "I loved you in Wall Street," because they wrote in it. They play Father and Son in Wall Street. So that's what that
good.
reminds
Well,
me
that
of.
would be
It's like,
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just that I loved you in the
Yeah, and it just that was just distracting, and then it's not like they had another moment together which made that make sense. The very big action scene shot 2 minutes away from here, which
Yeah.
was really good fun. Literally
Yeah,
in
right.
Camden, very big action
James,
scene.
you
I was
tell,
like,
you tell people where we record.
I think I've said it like 3 times across the show.
North London elite.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I didn't have any more fun for the rest of the film. That's my main thing. I thought we were at a point where Marvel meant, even if it could be somber in tone, that I would have a really good time, and I would have the nuggets to be like, ooh, that's next. There are post-credit scenes. Harry Styles is in a post-credit scene.
Why don't you gonna tell me
Oh,
that?
it's not a
Oh, come
spoiler. Oh,
on.
George, it's not a spoiler. He's just in it. He's just in it. What? You're gonna be like, I'm so excited. Harry Styles is in Marvel stuff. I'm not telling you who he is.
I know who he. Oh, sorry.
Oh, so you know who Harry Styles is
no.
playing?
No. I thought you meant. Do you know who
Oh,
Harry Styles
is.
So-
Right, yeah. Yeah, just I was surprisingly disappointed.
well, I might check it out, but again, in 5
Don't.
months' time. I tell you what, I'll check it out in 6 months' time when I next have a cold.
Yeah, but you know what? Because you haven't gone to the cinema, paid money, and like taken yourself there,
I went for ripped off.
you won't feel as irritated.
The modern cinematic
Yeah.
experience.
Okay, George, time to play a game.
Oh, please, yeah.
The last time we played this game, though it was fun, my camera was soft.
Yes.
I had it on autofocus, and for some reason, it decided that your hand waffling in front of the camera was far more interesting.
Gesticulating with purpose.
Gesticulating with purpose, as you love to do, and I want you to never stop.
However, not a problem for our audio listeners.
No.
They got the premium content.
People listening would not have known that the 20 questions section we did 2 weeks ago now was completely out of focus for my shot. The whole episode, it's actually hunting, looking for my face, and then just by that time, it's gone, no, George's hand is more interesting. I'll focus on that. So I thought we had fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there was another takeaway from that, is that I think they were too easy. Even though the guess of National Treasure was quite incredible. Talia came up to me when she'd listened to the episode, and she said it really was quite impressive that George got National Treasure in those 13 guesses. And I was like, yes. So we are going again.
Okay, round 2.
Round 2.
It's harder.
I told you to think of some films.
I got some. They're up
Slightly
here. I
harder.
don't actually need to write them down because they're in my head.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm just, in case you ask me some like weird details about
Sure,
plot, I've just got okay. I've got the Wikipedia page open, by the way,
All right.
for people
So
listening.
make sure okay.
George, I'm thinking of a film. You have 20 questions. You may begin.
Is this film, was this film released in the 20th century?
No. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry.
Great start, James. Well done.
Yes.
Okay. Can you count the questions, please?
Yeah, that's one question.
Was this film released in the 90s?
Yes.
Was this film a award winner?
Yes.
Was this film an English language film?
Yes.
Was this film a box office success for all intents and purposes?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Did this film come out? This is going to help me. Did this film come out after 1995?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
6 questions.
Okay. An award-winning film.
Award winner.
Was this film? So it's an English language film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty much obvious it's going to be an American, but it might not be. But I'm gonna go with American. Okay. So English language film, made between 1995 and 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Big enough smash. But you're a confident award winner. Is what
Yes.
you said. So I'm just going to run through.
Well, you asked me if it won awards, and I said yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking of now I just have to think about all the award-winning films from that time. American Beauty.
Yes. Oh my God! What the hell? Oh my God! How is that the first award winner you thought of in 90? Wow.
How many questions?
That was your 7th guess.
Thank you. That was
Wow.
good. Thank you. Because
Oh my god.
I was ready to run through loads of them, but the most because that's the
Covenant
iconic.
Award.
It's the iconic poster of the stomach
The
with
rose.
and the rose petals.
So that film cost $15 million to make and made $350 million. That's a really
successful.
good
Yeah.
turnover.
I would have said I could have gone for. I mean, other award-winning films: Shakespeare in Love, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I would have just gone through.
the
I found
years.
my little niche there.
You were there. You're like, okay, compartmentalize, throw all the other stuff out.
Brilliant. You can definitely chuck that in there.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, look, you cannot predict 20 questions. They could be slow, meandering dissection of years and genres and directors, or lightning can strike.
Let us know if you got them before.
No
we
one
did.
got American Beauty before you did, George. You're a freak of nature. Amazing.
I can't wait to play next time.
I'm really impressed.
Better think of something good.
I think are harder.